The first drop, the sky above him was burning. Pieces of fire fell like rain. Lieutenant Evan Cross opened his eyes slowly, his body aching, his vision blurry. Smoke curled from the crashed pod nearby. He tried to move, but pain shot through his leg. Alive, he whispered, coughing. He looked around. A thick forest surrounded him, glowing with strange blue plants. The air was heavy, warm, and smelled like honey and ash. He had no idea where he was. A soft thud made him freeze. Footsteps. Not human. He reached for his belt, but his weapon was gone. Then he saw her. She stepped through the mist like a ghost. Tall and graceful, with glowing skin and soft white feathers covering her arms and shoulders. Two huge wings folded behind her back. Her hair was silver blue, shining in the dim light. Her eyes, large and golden, stared at him with a strange mix of fear and concern. Evan's breath caught. Was she real? She tilted her head, curious. Then, without warning, she stepped closer and leaned down. Her hands were gentle but firm as she slid one arm under his back and the other under his knees. "Wait. What are you—" Evan tried to protest, but his voice was weak. With a powerful flap of her wings, she lifted him into the air. Evan wanted to fight, but her arms were warm, careful, like she thought he might break. The wind rushed past them as they rose above the trees. Stars blinked through the smoke. Far below, the wreckage of his ship burned like a forgotten memory. The flight lasted only a minute, but it felt like a dream. She landed on a soft platform, high in the trees, a round nest made of glowing feathers, vines, and smooth stone. Everything glowed faintly. It was beautiful and strange. She gently laid him down in the center of the nest. The surface was soft, almost like a bed made of clouds. Evan stared up at her in shock. She knelt beside him, placing a cool hand on his forehead. She said something in her language, soft, musical sounds that meant nothing to him. Still, there was comfort in her tone. "Who are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she stood up, spread her wings, and flew away into the mist. Evan lay there, stunned. His body still hurt, but his mind raced. Who was she? Why did she help him? Why did she carry him like a fragile thing? He looked around. He was alone, lying in a glowing nest high in alien trees on a planet he didn't recognize. A strange sense of peace filled the air. But underneath it, a question buzzed in his brain. Was this safety? Or was it a cage? The rules of her kind. Evan woke to a soft humming sound. For a moment, he forgot everything. Where he was, what had happened. The soft light of the glowing nest made it feel like a dream. But the pain in his leg reminded him it was all real. He tried to sit up. His muscles screamed, but he managed to pull himself halfway. And then he saw her again. The winged alien girl was sitting at the edge of the nest, watching him with quiet eyes. Her wings were folded behind her, and in her hand she held a small bowl made of smooth leaves. Steam rose from it. She stood and walked over, kneeling beside him. "You, again," Evan said, confused but calm. "You carried me," she said, something in her own tongue. Soft, slow, like she was speaking to a child. He looked into the bowl. It smelled sweet and earthy. She gently motioned for him to eat. When he didn't move, she picked up a carved spoon and brought it toward his mouth. "You think I can't feed myself?" Evan said, raising an eyebrow. She paused, tilting her head like she didn't understand. Still, she waited. Evan sighed and took the spoon from her hand. The food was warm and smooth, like mashed fruit mixed with herbs. Surprisingly good. As he ate, he noticed her face. There was no pride, no dominance, only deep concern. She wasn't acting like a captor or a nurse. She was treating him like glass. "Why do you think I'll break?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and gently touched his shoulder. Her touch was light, almost too careful. Evan looked around the nest. It was wide, round, and open to the air. He could see the jungle far below. Climbing down was impossible. Flying? Even more so. He was trapped here, but it didn't feel like a prison. It felt like protection. Hours passed. The sun, or whatever star ruled this sky, set behind thick purple clouds. The forest below began to glow with soft lights, as if the trees themselves were breathing. Evan tried standing. His leg was sore but not broken. He limped to the edge of the nest and looked down. "If I jump, I die," he muttered. "If I stay, what am I to her?" He turned. The winged girl was sleeping now, curled up at the far side of the nest, her wings wrapped around her like a blanket. He took a step toward the edge. "I need answers," he whispered. Then suddenly, a gust of wind. A shadow passed over the nest. Evan dropped flat. From above, another winged figure landed hard, taller, broader and glowing red along the arms. His wings were sharp and his eyes cold. He stared at Evan, then at the sleeping girl. He said something in a harsh voice. She woke instantly. They argued, fast, loud, with flared wings and sharp gestures. Evan couldn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. The newcomer was angry. He pointed at Evan like he was trash. The girl stepped in front of Evan and spread her wings wide, blocking the male's path. The male shouted again. Then, he spit on the ground and flew off. The girl turned to Evan, breathing hard. "He doesn't like me?" Evan said softly. She knelt beside him. In broken English, she said, "You, not safe. Many, see you. Not like." He was stunned. "Then why keep me here?" he asked. "I'm just a man. Not your problem." She looked away, then whispered, "My vow." He blinked. "What vow?" She hesitated, then touched her chest. "I protect. I saw you fall. Weak. Soft. Like childbird. I carry. I heal." Evan frowned. "You think I'm a baby bird?" She smiled slightly. "Yes." He almost laughed, but something deeper hit him. She wasn't mocking him. She truly believed he was fragile. And even worse, others wanted him gone. Evan sat down beside her. Silence stretched between them. The wind moved through the trees. The stars above shimmered. "What happens if I stay?" he asked quietly. She answered with fear in her eyes. "They will come. They will take. You. Break." He stared at her. And then, for the first time, he began to fear this beautiful world. Flight against Willivan waited until night. The winged girl was asleep again, curled in her glowing feathers. Her breathing was soft, peaceful. The jungle below was alive with gentle sounds, singing insects, glowing birds, and wind whispering through trees. But in Evan's mind, one sound echoed louder than all. Run. He knew now he couldn't stay here forever. The male who visited earlier was dangerous. The girl meant well, but she was keeping him locked in a sky cage. And her people. They were watching. He had to escape. Evan took a deep breath, limped quietly to the edge of the nest and looked down. It was a long fall, but between the thick vines and trees he thought maybe, just maybe, he could make it. He grabbed a thick branch near the edge, tied pieces of his torn shirt to make a rope, and slowly began lowering himself down. His heart pounded. Every move sent pain shooting through his leg. The bark scratched his hands, but still he moved. He was almost 5 meters down when, a sudden gust of wind, a shadow passed over the moonlight. Evan looked up. She was there, her wings spread wide, her face frozen in fear. She dived down like a hawk, caught him in her arms, midair, and flew upward fast. "No," Evan yelled, struggling. "Stop, let me go." She held him tighter. "Danger," she cried. "You fall." "I'm not a child," he shouted. "I can take care of myself." But she wasn't listening. Tears formed in her eyes. Her face twisted in pain, not from anger but from worry. They landed back in the nest. She set him down carefully. Then she stepped back and spoke in her alien tongue, her voice shaking, sharp, almost angry. She pointed to the deep jungle. She pointed to the stars, then to herself, then to him. He couldn't understand the words, but he felt the meaning. You are mine to protect, I promised, and you will not die. Evan stood, breathing hard. You don't get to decide that. Her wings drooped. She looked at him like he had just broken something sacred. You don't understand me, he said, quieter now. I'm not your bird. I'm a soldier. I've fought wars. I've lost people. I'm not fragile. She touched her chest. Your leg, broken. Your bones, thin. Your heart, strong. But body, she shook her head, like wind. He stared at her. There was no insult in her voice, no mockery, just a deep, honest fear. Evan sat back down, defeated. What do your people want with me? He asked. Why does that male hate me? She hesitated. Then she walked to the edge of the nest and pointed to the far mountains, barely visible under the stars. Long ago, she said slowly, others come. Metal ships, fire weapons. They hunt. They take. Evan's eyes narrowed. Humans? She nodded. They come. One, help my mother. He die. Others, leave. We hide. Since then, no outsider. You. First in many seasons. He felt cold inside. She continued. Council say, no more contact. Weak or not. You. Not belong. So they'll kill me, he said. She looked away. They say, if I not give you, they come take. Evan stood again, anger boiling. Then you should have let me go. Her wings flared. I not let die. Lightning flashed in the distance. Thunder rumbled. A storm was coming. Suddenly, a loud screech echoed through the trees. The girl froze. Evan turned quickly. Something was approaching. 3 winged shadows soared overhead. One shouted something in the alien language. She grabbed Evan's arm. They come now. Fast. They take you. Evan's heart raced. What do we do? She looked at him, then to the sky, then back again. And then she made a choice. We fly. What? You trust me? She asked. He hesitated. I don't know. If not trust. You fall. Another screech. Closer now. Evan nodded. Fine, let's go. Without another word, she picked him up, wrapped him tightly, and leapt from the nest. They soared into the storm. Rain hit hard. Lightning lit up the sky. Thunder cracked like explosions. Behind them, 3 winged hunters gave chase. Evan held on tight as the girl twisted and turned through the air, dodging attacks, diving through clouds, soaring above the treetops. One of the hunters slashed at her wing. A sharp cry escaped her lips, but she kept flying. Evan looked at her blood, now mixing with rain. You're hurt. I fly. Always. She gritted through pain. They reached the far edge of the jungle. A valley opened below, dark, but filled with ancient ruins and one large object. Evan's eyes widened. A crashed human ship. They dove into it. Inside, broken screens flickered. Old human tech rusted but still humming with power. The girl collapsed beside him, breathing hard. Evan looked around, and then he saw it. A beacon, cracked but still blinking. A signal device. Hope. I can call them, he said. I can bring help. She looked at him with wide eyes. They come for you? He nodded. She smiled weakly. Then, I not fail. Evan stared at her, this strange, powerful, wounded creature who flew through storms and risked her life, and all for him. But the signal wasn't just a call for rescue anymore. It was a message to the stars. The human wasn't fragile, and he wasn't alone. The day of challenge. The broken ship was dark, but it still lived. Soft blue lights blinked from the corners. Vines wrapped around the control panels, like the forest itself had tried to claim the wreck. Evan moved carefully, through the ruins, half carrying the winged girl whose name he still didn't know. She limped beside him, her wing bleeding. They found a small room deep inside the wreck. The walls were metal, but warm from the strange energy that pulsed through the old ship. Evan helped her sit on a seat once made for a human pilot. She winced. "Let me help," he said. He tore cloth from his uniform and wrapped it gently around her wound. She watched his hands, silent. "You fly through a storm," he said, shaking his head. "You dodge warriors. Take a hit for me." "Why?" She looked away. "I vow," she said again, voice low. "You keep saying that," Evan replied. "But it's more than that, isn't it?" Her golden eyes looked at him now, shining with something deeper. "Once," she began slowly, "before I born, a man from stars come, crash like you. He save my mother from hunters. He fight. He bleed. He die. He say, humans protect. Even when afraid," she placed her hand on her chest. "My mother live. She vow, we protect back." Evan felt something heavy in his chest. "You think I'm like him?" She nodded. "You came from stars. You fall. You fragile. But still, you look at me with fire. Like him." Evan smiled, just a little. "You risked everything for someone you didn't even know." "No," she whispered. "I know you. I know you're kind, brave, stubborn, kind, sometimes foolish." They both laughed. But the moment shattered with a loud clang from the roof of the wreck. Evan's head snapped up. Shadows moved above them. "They followed us," he whispered. The girl stood, her face turning hard. "They come for test." "Test?" "Challenge." Suddenly the roof burst open. 3 winged warriors dropped down. At the front stood the red-winged male from the nest, his face burning with hate. He pointed at Evan. "Outsider," he spat. Evan raised his hands. "Easy." The girl stepped between them, her wings wide. She shouted something in her language, sharp, defiant. The red wing nodded. He pointed to a circle in the middle of the wreck's control chamber. Vines and glowing dust shifted, forming a perfect ring. A challenge arena. Evan frowned. "What is this?" She turned to him, voice heavy. "He say, if I protect you, I must prove you are worth." "Prove?" Evan asked. "By fighting him?" She nodded. "Not you. Me." Evan grabbed her arm. "You're wounded." "Still, I fly." She stepped into the circle. The red-winged warrior spread his arms and leapt in after her. The battle began. It was fast. Brutal. Silent. They didn't speak. They didn't scream. They flew, spun, struck. Her wing bled again, slowing her. The red wing pressed hard, his claws slashing air, missing by inches. Evan watched helplessly. His fists clenched. Every time she was hit, his heart dropped. But then, she faked a fall. The warrior dove after her, confident, and at the last second, she twisted midair and slammed her wing into his chest. He crashed into the wreck floor with a loud thud. Silence. The others stepped back. She floated above him, breathing hard. The red wing did not rise. She had won, but she didn't cheer. Instead, she landed gently, walked to Evan, and collapsed in his arms. They rested inside the ship for hours. The other warriors left silently, some with respect in their eyes, some with fear. Evan held her close. "You didn't have to fight," he said. "You could have let me go." "No," she replied weakly. "You worth more than they see. I believe." He stared at her. "What's your name?" he asked. She smiled. "Sarah." He whispered it like a secret. "Sarah." And for the first time, he touched her face. Not as a stranger, but as someone who now understood the weight of her choices. Outside, the wreck. Something began to pulse. The beacon had activated. Far above, among the stars, a human rescue ship blinked to life, picking up the signal. Help was coming, but Evan no longer cared only about being saved. He had someone to save, too. Her hidden mission. The signal blinked quietly in the dark. A soft blue light pulsed from the old human beacon, hidden deep in the wrecked ship. Outside, rain tapped gently on the twisted metal. The jungle was still, like it was holding its breath. Evan sat beside Sarah, watching her sleep. Her body trembled now and then, her breathing shallow. Her wings were folded tight, wrapped in bandages he had made from his jacket. He didn't understand everything about this alien world, but he understood loyalty and what she had done for him. Few humans would have. The beacon pulsed again. He stood and walked deeper into the ship. He needed to know more. Why had this wreck been here? Why did Sarah's people fear humans? And what exactly did she mean by the vow? As he moved through the narrow hallway, he found a sealed chamber. The door was heavy and covered in vines. He pulled. It groaned open. Inside, dust floated in the air, and in the center of the room lay a human skeleton. Evan froze. Uniform still clung to the bones, tattered but recognizable. The chest badge read, Lidar Bishop. He stared at it. Bishop. That was a name he remembered from training. The story of a lone soldier who went missing on a scouting mission decades ago. People believed he died in a pirate ambush. But now, Evan knew the truth. Bishop didn't die to pirates. He died here, on this world, in this jungle. Next to the skeleton, a data recorder blinked faintly. Evan tapped it. A weak, crackling voice spoke. To anyone hearing this, I'm Bishop. I found a strange people here, winged, graceful, afraid of me. They think I'm a threat. But one of them saved me, a female. Kind eyes, wounded heart. I protected her, gave her my rations. When her people tried to take me, she fought back. They turned on her too. She died in my arms. I swore I'd never let them think humans only bring death. I stayed, and they let me. But now, time's running out. Evan's throat tightened. The story matched Sarah's words. Her mother. This was her mother's past. And now Sarah had risked everything to return the favor. He turned around. Sarah was standing at the doorway, her eyes wide, full of sadness. You found him? She said softly. Evan nodded. Bishop, he stayed for her. Sarah walked inside and knelt beside the skeleton. Mother said, he smiled when he died. He said, one day another will come. Help him, protect him. Let him see we are more than feathers and fear. She looked at Evan. I waited all my life for that moment. He didn't know what to say, so he simply knelt beside her. And now? He asked. Sarah's face grew dark. The beacon will bring your people, she said, but the council, they will not allow it. What do you mean? They fear your kind, she said. They believe if humans return, our skies will burn. They want to stop the signal. Evan stood, fists clenched. They'll come here? She nodded. Soon with chains and fire. Evan's jaw tightened. Then we hold them off, until the rescue team lands. Sarah shook her head. No, they will kill me first. No, they won't, he said firmly. Not while I'm breathing. A low hum echoed through the wreck. The beacon flashed faster now. The human ship was closer. Night fell. Fires appeared in the jungle. Dozens of them. Wings flapped in the distance. The air grew heavy. Evan and Sarah stood at the wreck's broken entrance, staring at the lights coming toward them. Sarah turned to him. If I run now, they may spare you. No, he said. You saved me. Now, we stand together. She looked at him for a long time. Then she stepped closer, took his hand in hers. My mother fell in love with a human, she whispered. But she never told anyone. They feared her, hated her. But she believed in him, and now, I believe in you. Then let's show them, Evan said. Let's show them we're stronger together. A horn blew in the trees. The council had arrived. The flight for freedom. Thunder rolled across the sky, but it wasn't from a storm. This time, It was the Winged Council. Dozens of them circled above the jungle like shadows with eyes. Their wings were sharp, feathered in gold, red, and black. Each warrior glowed with markings that shimmered like molten metal. They weren't here to talk. They were here to judge. Evan stood at the wreckage with Sarah. Both of them could hear the deep, rhythmic beat of wings surrounding the clearing. Firelight flickered through the trees as the council landed, forming a circle. At the center, the High Judge stepped forward, tall, armored in silver feathers, and carrying a staff that hummed with ancient energy. Sarah's wings twitched. She whispered, "His name is Oryx. He once loved my mother, before she chose the human." Evan's eyes narrowed. "So this is personal?" Sarah nodded. "He doesn't fear you. He hates you." Oryx's voice echoed through the clearing in their alien tongue. His tone was calm, but full of fire. Sarah stood tall and answered. The two exchanged words quickly. Evan could not follow, but the tension was sharp. Then Oryx raised his staff and pointed it at Evan. "He says," Sarah translated quietly, "You broke our sacred law. You must be taken. The signal must be destroyed. If I protect you again, I will be cast out." Evan looked around. Dozens of warriors had surrounded them. "What happens if you're cast out?" he asked. "I lose my wings. I lose my name." Evan clenched his fists. "No, we run." Sarah shook her head. "There's nowhere left to run." Just then, a sharp screech from the sky. Everyone turned. Far above, a bright light cut through the clouds. The human rescue ship. It was descending. Fast. And the council knew they were running out of time. Oryx shouted something. Spears were drawn. "They'll strike before the ship lands," Evan growled. "We have to move. Now." But Sarah's wings were still wounded. She couldn't fly far. "Then I carry you," Evan said. She blinked. "You can't." He stepped forward. "You once said I was wind. Too fragile. But now I'm stone. And I won't let them break you." Without waiting, Evan pulled her close. He wrapped a rope under her arms and clipped it to a harness he found in the wreck. He grabbed a booster pack from the emergency crate, barely working, flickering with sparks. "This might kill me," he said. "But if it gets you to that ship, I'll try," the council shouted. Spears flew. Evan activated the booster. It fired once and launched them both into the air. They soared through the trees. Below them, chaos. Winged warriors followed, shrieking, throwing nets and ropes. One caught Evan's leg. He kicked wildly, holding on to Sarah with everything he had. The booster flickered again. "Come on, hold just a little longer," he yelled. Sarah looked up. The ship was closer. Searchlights swept the sky. A side door opened, and a rescue officer reached out. "We see you. Get closer," the voice shouted through the air. But then, Oryx appeared. His wings spread like lightning. His staff sparked with red flame as he charged straight at them. Sarah pushed herself away from Evan midair. "No!" he screamed. She turned in flight and clashed with Oryx. The two spun through the sky in a deadly dance. Oryx struck hard, but Sarah dodged. She was faster, more graceful, even hurt. Evan couldn't help. He was falling now. The booster pack had died. He reached for a vine, caught it with one hand, swung wildly, and crashed hard onto a wooden branch. Pain exploded through his ribs. He looked up. Sarah was losing. Oryx slammed her with his staff. She spiraled downward, wings limp. "No, no, no." Evan crawled, grabbed a fallen spear, and threw it. It hit Oryx's wing. He screamed, spinning midair, and that gave the rescue team time. They dropped ropes from the ship. Evan grabbed one and screamed, "Sarah!" She stirred weakly on the ground. He jumped down again, slamming into the jungle floor beside her. "Wake up, please," he whispered. She opened her eyes. Barely. He pulled her up, looped the rope around both of them. "We're not dying here." They rose together. Just as the other warriors reached the clearing, the ship's doors closed. Inside, soldiers pulled them in. Safe. For now. In the medbay, Evan sat beside her. Her wing was broken, but her heart was still beating. She looked at him through tears. "You saved me." He shook his head. "No. We saved each other." Outside the window, the jungle shrank below. A new world waited above. But neither of them looked back, because the future would be written in the stars. Together, fragile no more, the stars were silent. From the window of the human starship, Evan watched the alien world fade behind them. The jungle, the glowing trees, the winged warriors, all disappeared into the dark of space. But he didn't feel relief. He felt the weight of everything they'd left behind. Beside him, Sarah lay in the medbay bed. Her feathers were singed, one wing wrapped tightly in nanoweave. Machines beeped softly, monitoring her breathing. Her golden eyes opened for a moment, and she smiled faintly. "We're flying again," she whispered. "This time together," Evan said, taking her hand. She squeezed it. But peace didn't last. A message came from command. A tribunal was being held. Sarah was not just an alien. She was the first contact with a species that humans had once believed extinct or unreachable. Her appearance had shaken the upper ranks of the Galactic Alliance. They demanded answers and decisions. Days later, Evan stood in front of a high council, admirals, diplomats, scientists, and military strategists. Holograms floated all around. Behind glass, hundreds watched from other systems, curious and cautious. At the center of the chamber stood Sarah, her wings folded neatly, her back straight, but her eyes showed sadness. The admiral began. "Lieutenant Evan Cross, you made unauthorized contact with a pre-alliance civilization. Explain yourself." Evan stepped forward. "I didn't make contact. I survived. She found me. She saved me. And then she fought her own people to protect me." Whispers moved through the room. A woman in white robes asked, "Why? What was her motive?" Evan looked at Sarah. "Because long ago a human saved her mother, and she made a vow to protect the next human who came." The room fell silent. Sarah finally spoke. Her voice was soft, but steady. "Your kind once hurt my skies, but one of you gave his life for someone he loved. He left behind hope. I was raised in that hope." She paused, looking at Evan. "I did not protect him because he was weak. I protected him because he was strong enough to be kind, strong enough to care." The admiral narrowed his eyes. "Do you expect us to trust your people after they tried to kill him?" Sarah bowed her head. "No. I expect you to see that we are not perfect. Like you, we have fear. Like you, we also have love." Silence. Then the head diplomat turned to Evan. "And what do you suggest we do with her?" Evan stepped forward, fire in his voice now. "Don't treat her like a threat. Don't lock her away. Honor what she did. Give her a chance to speak, not just to us, but to both our kinds." Outside the tribunal chamber, crowds waited. When Sarah stepped out with Evan beside her, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions, but what caught everyone's attention was the way she held his hand, not with fear, but with pride. She wasn't hiding anymore, and neither was he. Weeks passed. Sarah remained on the human flagship as a guest, not a prisoner. Scientists came to study her people's biology. Diplomats sent messages to the Winged Council. At first, there was no reply. But then, a signal came, a voice Evan recognized. Oryx. His message was simple. If she still believes peace is possible, she must return and prove it. Sarah watched the message quietly. Evan said, "You don't have to go." She turned to him. "Yes, I do. Not for them, for me, for her, for Bishop, for us." "I'll go with you." She smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." They returned. This time, not falling from the sky, not hiding in wrecks or flying through storms. This time, they landed together in the open valley near the great trees. Winged people gathered, whispering, watching. Oryx appeared again. But something had changed in him. His feathers were darker. His wings moved slower. His eyes were not filled with hate, but with confusion. "You came back," he said. "Why?" Sarah stepped forward. "Because I believe in what he showed me." "And what is that?" "That being fragile does not mean being weak. That kindness is power too. And that courage isn't always about fighting. Sometimes it's about standing beside someone when everyone else flies away." Oryx looked at Evan. Then he bowed his head. "Then speak," he said, "and we will listen." Months passed. A peace bridge was built. The humans called it the Wings of Bishop. Sarah became the first speaker between the two species. Evan became her bondmate. They didn't need rings or ceremonies. Their promise had been forged in fire, flight, and blood. One night under the glowing sky, she lay beside him. "You're not fragile," she whispered. "I never was," he said. "But when you carried me, I learned that sometimes it's okay to let someone else be strong for you." She smiled, wrapping her wings around them both, and together they looked up at the stars, not as strangers but as equals. The end.